This is Seals Enterprises, where no news is safe. Now, Ray Bradshaw, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
It's Breaking the News with Des Clark.
Des Clark, and this is Breaking the News, the show that breaks the week's news and asks four opinionated panellists to put it back together again. We're back for another series, and once again we're joined by some of the best comedians currently on the stand-up circuit. On my right we have Ray Bradshaw and Layla Navabi, and facing off against them are Elaine Malcolmson and Alan Cochrane. Since we were last on air, Liz Truss carried out a series of interviews with local radio stations. The Prime Minister told Radio Cornwall that she was the one to ease the energy bills crisis. She promised Radio T's Kwasi Kwarteng was the man to fix the economy, and she insisted to Radio Clyde Super Scoreboard that Giovanni Van Bronckhorst was definitely the man for Rangers. Up until the Liverpool result, the punchline to that was Ange Postecoglou. This year has seen the accession of King Charles III, making Prince William next in line. Unless, of course, Holly and Phil get there first. And since the accession of King Charles, top lawyers have changed from QC to KC, and the jury is now known as the Sunshine Band. Right, you've met the panel. Let's crack on with round one. This is the Broken News Round, where our teams have to guess two major stories of the week that have been mashed together into one single news headline. So, Ray and Layla, can you tell me what the first story in the mashup is?
The UK Supreme Court is considering whether to allow
the Chancellor, Kwasi Kwarteng,
powers to
set out his plan
to hold
Halloween
on October the 19th next year. Liz Truss
says the Chancellor's Fright Night fiscal plan must not be nearly a month ahead of the original date.
It's got to be the fact that we're back to indie ref in the courts, the Supreme Court this week.
Yes, it is the Supreme Court case to decide if the Scottish Parliament can hold an independence referendum without Westminster's consent. Judges heard the arguments of the Scottish and UK governments this week, but it could be several months before a ruling is made. Yes, in 2023, Scottish people could be asked to make a very difficult choice. If we didn't get to host it, should we still bother watching Eurovision? Tough one. Could go either way. So there you go, Ray. Right answer. Have you been following the events of the Supreme Court?
No. When I get Virgin Media, I get the sports package, not the courts package, so I just didn't bother.
Layla, have you kept up to speed with what's going on in the Supreme Court?
I think it's like impossible as a Welsh person to not keep up with it. In that, have you seen the film? Bear with me on that. Have you seen the film Beauty and the Beast?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know that bit where the Beast is like jealous and jaded, and he like looks in the mirror and he's like, "Show me the girl," and then it shows like the girl like having the worst time, but also actually galvanizing herself to do something. It feels a bit like that.
I don't know. I was born in Scotland and brought up in England, and so I kind of feel a bit strange about the independence thing, because I don't want some passport control when I'm driving back to Scotland. And I thought that when there was the last referendum, I should have got a vote in it, and I didn't. So I'm quite annoyed if there's going to be another, and yet again I won't get a vote in it. And also I'm annoyed that they said it was a once-in-a-lifetime vote last time, but I gather that they're using Scottish life expectancies. Every 6 years, isn't it?
I'm very suspicious of the Supreme Court. They say they've got the best judges in the land, but no sign of Cheryl Cole or Sharon Osbourne. I think I'm interested in this idea of having a referendum as like a consultation that would have no like real meaning. I think that's quite interesting, especially when you apply that principle to other situations. For example, are you dancing? Are you asking? I'm asking, but your answer may only be considered as advisory and not self-executing, rather than a subjective intention to dancing. I don't know. Is it inevitable? Liz Truss has said no, but if you wait long enough, she'll change her mind.
Layla, what are you thinking then? We're talking about the Supreme Court, but what issue would you like the Supreme Court to rule on?
You know hula hoops, the crisps?
Yeah.
Why are the big versions just called big hoops and not big hula hoops? And if that's the case, then why don't they just call them hoops?
What issue do you think the Supreme Court should rule on, Alan?
I would be in favour of a court agreement on pool rules. Do you get 2 shots on the black? If they could just... If we could nail down the rules of the game of pool, I would have more trust in people. Just generally.
In an attempt to move the matter on, the UK's highest court has been asked to hear the arguments of both sides during a 2-day session. Nicola Sturgeon says if that fails, it's on to a 2-day pub session, because Scotland's definitely winning that. Yes, the Indie Ref Supreme Court case is the correct answer. Ray and Layla, well done. You get 2 points for that. Now to you, Elaine and Alan, what was the other story we were after?
There's a few wee problems with the economy.
It's the right answer. Well done, Elaine. Yes, it is the ongoing financial turmoil, with ONS figures revealing the UK economy unexpectedly shrank in August. There have been further warnings of a recession before the end of the year. It comes after the Bank of England made emergency interventions to calm markets in the wake of Kwasi Kwarteng's mini-budget announcement. Yes, it's been 3 weeks since Kwasi Kwarteng announced the most unrealistic mini-budget since the last series of Grand Designs. So, well done, Elaine, for getting the right answer. What's your take on it then? What have you made of the recent economic turmoil?
It's difficult to keep up. They're talking about growth and investment constantly. I feel like I'm investing every time I go shopping. I bought a Lurpak last week and had to rewrite my will.
Alan, what do you make of it then, the recent economic turmoil? Where do you see it?
When I read this sort of story about the fall in value of the pound, I mainly feel sorry for people that own pound shops. Because they've set it up and now they can't call themselves like the £1.20 shop or the £1.50 shop. That's my searing economic insight there for you.
It's a lovely argument.
Glad I did the reading.
Who knew we'd get there? Now, obviously, we're talking about a big reaction to something that happened, i.e. the mini-budget here. What is the worst reaction you've ever had to something that you've done? Elaine Malcolmson.
A reviewer came to my first ever Fringe show run and said I was like a morbid Claire Grogan with all of the joy drained out.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry for laughing at that, but that was...
I'm sorry for Claire Grogan.
Yeah, that is a bad reaction. Alan, what about you? We're talking about reactions to what happened with the economy. What is the worst reaction you've ever had to something that you've done?
I was once on stage at like an outdoor stand-up festival thing. Actually, it was a big festival that had a stand-up comedy tent, and I was on. There was probably 120 people in the crowd or something, and you know, you get nosebleed from the music event. A band started up really loudly, and I recognised the song and said, I know this band, who's this? And a member of the audience said, it's Bombay Bicycle Club. And at the time, they were really big. And I went, oh, they're great. Why are you all in here? And 2/3 of the audience stood up and walked out.
Layla, what do you think about this one? What is the worst reaction you've ever had to something that you've done?
I did a song on the BBC about how I think horses are too big. and shouldn't be pets. And I got some, I'm not joking, they're coming for me.
The horses are coming for you.
Sparkle, Rainbow and Tulip, I believe. Some of the comments I've had on some of these is, she's lucky I weren't there, I don't like her end of, and she should brush her hair, my horse's hair is nicer than hers. So I'd say that's a definitely...
It's hard to type that with like a big hoof and a shoe.
Yeah, I think so, exactly.
And mine's is also animal related. So I did a show in sign language. My mum and dad were both deaf, so it was during the Edinburgh Festival, and there was a hearing dog kind of cramped in the front row. So I was like, I'll let it come on stage. There's plenty of room. I don't move about. So the hearing dog sat on the stage, and I did a joke, and it didn't get that good a reaction. And the hearing dog yawned so loudly, and I was just like, right, you're back in to get crammed in, mate. Like.
Yes, well done, Elaine and Alan. You get 2 points for that. It was the mashup of ongoing economic turmoil and the Supreme Court indie ref hearing. And at the end of that round, well done. Our teams are on 2 points apiece. Now, much of our news is about public opinion, so this week to find out what people are talking about, we have spoken to former Olympian and Herald journalist Susan Egglestaff and Good Morning Scotland sports presenter Phil Goodlad. So, Elaine and Alan, what story do you think Phil is on about here?
I actually find it quite amusing that such a question has even been asked, such a study has even been carried out. Bribery was probably the best way of keeping things calm. Bribe with a sweetie, with a piece of fruit, or with the threat of that evil eye that their mum seems to perfect in.
Alan, what do you think Phil was talking about there?
Was it one of the negative stories about dads? Is it that?
It is the right answer, yes.
Right,
it is the news that research from King's College London suggests that stressed out dads may be to blame for their children misbehaving. This is the news that paternal stress may cause child behavioural issues.
Who wants a Zen dad? Like, that'd be rubbish, wouldn't it? Like, who wants to come back from school and their dad be like aligning his chakra and then saying, let's do a 5-minute meditation, kids? Like, you don't want that. You want a dad going, can we turn the lights off in this house every now and again when we leave the room? Isn't that what you want? Like, that's the dad I want to be. Like,
what do you think, Elaine? There are findings saying that stressed out dads may be to blame for kids misbehaving. Do you agree with that?
Sounds to me a lot of those world's best dads mugs should be revoked.
I've got a 3-year-old, and I think like how you act kind of reflects on them. I went to pick him up from his nursery, and I picked him up early, and I went to my 3-year-old son. I went in front of the nursery staff. I went, "What do you want to do now?" And he went, "Pub." And then there was a pause, and we were walking away, and he went, "Lager, lager, lager." I was like, let's not say that in front of the other adults, Alex. What are you doing?
Layla, what do you think? Do you agree with these findings?
I think that anyone who's sort of taken part in this study has clearly never been school shoe shopping with their mum. I think that all of my adult traumatic stress problems can be traced back to Clark's, Cardiff, Queen Street.
Well, obviously we're looking at some stress in the household. It seems to be maybe a combination of factors. But what is the secret to a stress-free household? Alan?
Yeah, it's not having children. I was once in the kitchen, and for ages we thought this was a trick of the light because it was the shadows. Because my daughter looked up and she said to me, "Why have you got a stripy head, Daddy?" And so we were thinking it's the sun hitting like the door. And it turned out, after various questioning, that she meant the 3 massive wrinkles that are across my forehead. And I found myself having to not shout, "Because I've got you asking me questions like, why have you got a stripy head, Daddy?" And child-free couples don't have that stress in their lives, do they? They just get on with it.
There you go, there's the key. That's amazing. Elaine, what's your take on this? What do you think the key is to a stress-free household?
Valium. Calpol for dads. I don't know, maybe like...
You have to market it like that, that's amazing.
Calpol for dads.
Ray Bradshaw, what about you? This round is all about dads. What trait have you inherited from your dad?
Looking in skips. Like, my dad can't walk by one without looking in, and I've started doing the same. I'm like,
Layla, what trait have you inherited from your dad?
Mustache.
There you go. Stress dads is the right answer. 2 points goes to Elaine and Alan. To you, Ray and Layla, what do you think Susan is talking about here?
This is definitely something I would consider as an alternative to working from home. I would choose some kind of tropical island on the beach in the sun. If I was working from here, my drink of choice would be some kind of fancy cocktail, although there probably wouldn't be much work getting done after that.
Is it working from pubs instead of your house?
Yeah, well done. That is right. It is the new phenomenon of WFP, or working from the pub, which is being offered by a number of establishments in an effort to tackle increasing overheads and give home workers a way to save money on their own bills.
so I read this article and I stopped taking it seriously when they quoted a man who runs a flip-flop company. Like, I've always, age-old principle, don't take advice from people in flip-flop companies. Like, that's what I've always thought. But the thing I think we can all imagine the problem with this is it's gastropubs they'll be working in. I want them to work, if they're going to do it, it has to be across all pubs, and you do a raffle to see what you get. So you might get an all-bar one, you might get a lovely wine bar, you might get some of that, but some people can get, you know, the pub that's, when you walk in, they look at you because you're not from there, and then it's just constant, like, dog racing in the background. Like, and I love the idea of you being on a Zoom, like, in a meeting, and someone's asking you to move because they're about to take a shot at snooker. Like, that's the kind of pub that you should be working in, not these nice ones.
Yeah. My producers just whispered in my ear, he's checked the article on the BBC website. It wasn't a flip-flop company, it was a guy that worked for the holiday firm Sandals.
That's honestly so bad is good. So bad is good.
So there you go, Alan. Working from the pub, it's now a thing. Do you think it will work for us?
I think it's great. I actually read that and thought, what a fantastic idea. Obviously, it's not for everyone. My mate's an alcoholism counsellor. That's not going to work. But for everybody except him, I think it's a really good idea.
Is it time for everyone just to get back into the office?
I used to work in an office, and the one abiding thing that I really miss every day is I invented a drink because they had a sparkling water tap. Have you ever seen one of them? They're magic, they are. They're really good, right? But they also had raspberry tea bags. And I would put the tea bag in the thing, little bit of hot water, this much, tiny, tiny little millimetre of hot water just to get it going, and then you put sparkling water in it, and then you have a pot that doesn't rot your teeth or your soul.
This is...
I invented a drink when I used to work in an office, and I called it Friday tea. And it was tea with Co-op brandy in it.
And it was a good day at the office. Eh?
What job was that?
Teacher.
So here's the question then. We're talking about working from the pub, but if you could work anywhere, where would you work?
The moon.
Moon?
Yeah.
A shout.
Really enjoy a good commute.
My uncle ended up in the bad books with his partner after working from the pub all day, then doing a bit of overtime up the dancing. Yes, working from the pub is the right answer. 2 points go to Ray and Layla. You're tuned to Breaking the News on BBC Radio Scotland with me, Des Clark. Now, this round is all about who is in the news, so I will play you a clip of a mystery person. All you have to do is tell me who it is. Ray and Layla, you're up first this time. Who is this?
It was basically about the fact that the three most popular scenes, when they said which are the three funniest scenes, they were exactly the same as the three scenes that had caused most offence.
This is John Cleese, who's about to present his own show on GB News.
Is the right answer. Well done. It is actor and comedian John Cleese, who this week confirmed he will host his own GB News TV show. In recent years, John Cleese has been criticised for his views on immigration, a subject that he'll tackle in his new GB News segment, A Fish Called Rwanda. What do you think, Alan? John Cleese, new show on GB News. Will you give it a watch?
Probably not, but I am perfectly fine with the idea of GB News existing and John Cleese working on it. I think it's great. I'm hesitant to say it, but I'm not entirely sure that I agree with a state-run media whilst I'm working on the BBC. And I think it's quite good that GB News exists to disrupt that, because, the BBC has been wrong about things, and GB News might be right about some things and wrong. I don't even know if they're right-wing. The bits that I've seen of it, it's not come across as very right-wing to me.
John Cleese, he lives in the Caribbean, so GB News is obviously doing better than I thought if they can afford to take on a St Kitts and Nevis correspondent.
What do you think, Layla? There's the argument now saying there's too much censorship in comedy.
Because I'm young, people seem to think that I want to cancel everyone, and I don't know why, because I think everything should be open always.
It's obviously a really awkward question, so let's keep asking it. What do you think, Alan? Do you think that there is too much censorship in comedy these days?
I think it would be ludicrous to suggest that there isn't, because obviously we're on a show that isn't all bets are off. Like, there's a watershed and all that sort of stuff. But I also think there is a kind of a groupthink amongst the comedy makers and broadcasters. Like, if you feel a certain way about, for example, immigration or men becoming women or whatever it is, there definitely is a groupthink that if people swim against that tide, they're not welcome on shows. However, it hasn't affected me. Cancel culture has more affected me in terms of trains.
So obviously there's all the chat about censorship, and as we've touched on, some points of view are deemed controversial. So what would be your most controversial point of view?
Death penalty for taking the minus offer in the chase.
Well done. It's about time someone said it. Elaine, step up to the plate here. What is your most controversial point of view?
I'm not keen on Lorraine Kelly.
Now, do you mean the real Lorraine Kelly? The actress known as Lorraine Kelly? Yes, 2 points go to Ray and Layla. That was Monty Python star John Cleese. Right, Elaine and Alan, it's your turn. Who is this and why are they in the news?
I produce my paintings by cameras in my eyes, my AI algorithms, and my robotic arm to paint on canvas.
I think it's a robot that attended a meeting in the House of Lords this week.
That is Ada, who this week became the first robot to address the House of Lords and promptly fell asleep whilst doing so. That's true. Ada creates art by first using cameras in her eyes to take hundreds of photos. Then algorithms convert them into arm movements, which she uses to create an image on a canvas over several hours. And that's still quicker than trying to connect her to a printer.
Well, I watched the video, actually, of Ada at the House of Lords. It took me a wee while to work out which one was the robot.
But there's a great bit in the video where Ada stops working and goes to sleep, and they turn it off and back on again like a laptop. It's really good. Like, no matter how high-tech stuff gets, they still have to turn it off and back on again.
So if robots are getting into the arts, do you think we will ever see a robot comedian? Elaine?
Oh, I think that's very disrespectful to ask that question, completely forgetting the legend that was Dusty Bin.
Okay, so obviously this week we saw Ada, the robot, falling asleep in the House of Lords. What is the most embarrassing place, though, that you have fallen asleep?
Me and my wife went to a gong bath. Have you any idea what that is? It's like a massive steel gong, and it's like a version of meditation, if you like. So you lie down on some cushions, And as we walked out, I went, God, I felt a bit sleepy. And then she went, you were asleep. You were snoring all the way through it.
I think when I was like 3 or 4, I would sleepwalk, and I went down. I fell asleep behind the sofa, and my mum and dad are obviously deaf. They couldn't find me, and they phoned the police. And the police turned up at my mum and dad's house. And supposedly, I don't remember this, supposedly I just got up from behind the sofa, hearing the police walked out, and went, can I get some Rice Krispies?
Pioneering robot artist Ada is the right answer, and 2 points go to Elaine and Alan. And it's time now for our final quickfire round, which is all about deciphering the numbers in the news. So I will read out a headline. All the teams have to do is fill in the blanks. So get ready, teams. When we run out of time, you'll hear this.
I don't like it. It makes me feel uneasy. Please make it stop.
That's Martin Geisler there watching Tony Adams striptease on Strictly Come Dancing. Right, let's go. Fingers on buzzers. A third of people say they what more since having children. Alan.
Is it sob? Just every now and again they catch themselves sobbing, is it that?
I think the real stat might be higher for that. Great answer, keep it going. A third of people say they what more since having children. Layla.
Get nits.
Brilliant. A third of people say they what more since having children. Ray.
Park round the corner from the house and just sit in the car for a bit because they can't face it.
A third of people say they what more since having children. Elaine.
Buy wipes.
Said with such sincerity. She wants that point. The answer is this. A third of people say they waste food more since having children.
I don't like it. It makes me feel uneasy. Please make it stop.
Oh, there we are. The klaxon. Martin is Geisler. That means it's all over. And at the end of the quiz, our winners this week are Ray Bradshaw and Leila Navabi. And commiserations to Elaine Malcolmson and Alan Cochrane. And we'll leave you with the breaking news. Breaking news just in. A couple from Yorkshire who found 260 gold coins hidden under their home have sold them for over £750,000. Although the police have been called in by the guy who owns the flat below. A commemorative 50p coin has been unveiled by the Royal Mint to mark the BBC centenary and will be priced at £11. And if you think it's okay to pay 11 quid for something that's actually worth 50p, you probably approved the Ferguson Ferry deal. And Wallace and Gromit, Morph and Shaun the Sheep are to adorn a new selection of Royal Mail stamps. It comes as a big surprise to those of us who were expecting King Charles. The news is broken. I've been Des Clark.